Hey, we're back to our exciting episode of Attack Productions TI Bankrupt, joined once again by Jimmy, Jake, and Nick.
I was yawning.
What's going on, yo?
I'm here too.
And today's matchup is me versus Nick. Nick has brought us set 2021, and I brought out Garlic Jr. Like always, just buttons down below, links in the description, check them out. But let's get into the matchup. 21, huh?
No.
No? Okay. Earlier this week, we did our kind of like, I don't know what we're calling it yet. It's still the name people don't like, apparently. But you had mentioned you brought this primarily as a way of refamiliar yourself with the deck and giving other players a chance to kind of play it again leading up for Gen Con, right?
Yeah, I'm fully expecting to see this deck in some form or fashion at Gen Con, so I just wanted to refamiliar, like you said, just wanted to see how the play lines work, how it draws, how it removes, just get the ins and outs of the deck so I know how to play against it best.
And I'm just playing Garlic Jr. because why not? We have not seen this on the channel, so we'll kind of talk about it a little bit. Garlic Jr. is activate me on the front side, so you play a 1-drop from, I'm annoyed right now, but we'll get into it in a second. You play a 1-drop from your deck, either be one of the 3 of Garlic Jr.'s minions, and then they have an effect of either A or B. A is that you put a card on your deck, and then you can play 2 Dragon Balls, or add 2 Dragon Balls to your hand from deck and or life. I didn't shuffle my life. You're supposed to shuffle your life, but there's a reason why I didn't shuffle my life, because I'm about to pay 1 energy to just do that effect all over again. The other effect will pull out the 4-drops from the deck to your hand instead, but I did start with 3 Dragon Balls in my life, which is always rough. I think the most I've ever heard someone doing is having 5 in their life once, which I think is just absolute garbage if that happens, and you should just scoop.
But, I mean, it's not really the end of the world, because I don't want to play a quick game at all. I want the game to go on as long as possible, so it really didn't mean much, because even regardless of what your life total's at, it's going to be really tough for me to do damage, because I want to be as passive as possible.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it helped me out, but it shouldn't have hurt you too much.
It's just one of those things where I'd rather have all the balls in the deck, because then I'm thinning the deck out more, so I can draw the things I want to see more often. And then when they're in your life, you're not really getting maximum advantage out of that. Yes, I can use a super combo sooner, but it is what it is. I did manage to see all 7 by turn 1, though, so I was able to awaken, which pulls the Garlic Jr.'s ambitions to your hand. And then the activate main on Garlic Jr.'s front side is A or B. A is play a 4-drop from your deck. B is to activate a Garlic Jr.'s ambition from your hand, which you can only do if you have a Garlic Jr. on board. And the deck does have a Z battle card, kind of like 3-way stack where it goes from the 1 to 3 to the 5. And the 1 and 3 have the flex that are pretty much hitting the board most of the times, but you gotta be tricky once you get to that point, because if you don't give them indestructible, they can be sniped very quickly, or even on play, the 3-drop can be hit. The 5-drop has no form of protection, but it is a beefy boy. If you play it, kudos. If you don't, it is what it is. It's not really, I don't think, in my experience, in playing that deck is super important. Like, I'll put the stack out, but if it gets hit, it gets hit. That's fine by me. I have other cards in the deck that I feel like are a little bit better in the long run.
Honestly, when I played that game against you, the 5-drop seemed really strong. So it's interesting to hear you say that.
So I will say this was the only non-yellow match I played this weekend, and the 2 yellow players I played against just Final Flash and then popped it right off the bat, and I'm like, that's fine. Jimmy was one of those.
I was. That felt really good, because I think at one point I swung and you were like, all right, go ahead and Final Flash, and I was like, maybe.
What's great about the 4-drops is that when the leader plays them, their skills are negated for the turn. But since I was able to keep that on the board and I was able to play the Z battle card right afterwards, and get indestructible, it now gives the 4-drops their other abilities. So in this case, this particular 4-drop, I think it was plus 5k in crit. There's one that's 5k and double strike, and the other one's just, I hate this one, but it does come in clutch. If you have a Garlic Jr. on board and it costs a 5 with indestructible, then you can activate its counterattack for free. Otherwise, it's a 4-cost card. So you either play it for free with the leader's ability, just have a beater on the board, or you wait until you have a 5-drop on board to use its free negate ability. And it's a once per turn effect, or a once per turn thing. So I didn't go full swing into you on that turn, because I forgot that the Z battle card takes a life as well. So, like, I feel like I could have swung 2 more times at you just to add additional pressure to you. Because those are those both optional?
Yeah. So it's really good when the opponent kind of missteps, I guess. It doesn't provide pressure, but at the same way, I'm going to get down to 4 turn 2 almost immediately, regardless of what happens, just because I have my own ways of taking multiple life. So it's not the end of the world at this point, but it's kind of a weird spot being in with a control deck, right? You don't want to have too much low life, but at the same time, this deck is so defensive. It builds so much pressure and with walls and floodgates that it's. I thought it was pretty fun just having that type of interaction where I was on the back foot, but still was comfortable enough to defend myself.
Yeah. And I will say, like, this confused me slightly, because at some point, I think in your next turn, I'm like, wait, how do you have 4 energy and I have 3? I went first. But yeah, being able to ramp's pretty nice. And this was fun seeing you expending both a super combo and a Sin Speed, this early on.
Well, I didn't want to take any life.
No, that's fair.
Blue Eyes Toon Dragon.
Yeah, we play weird tokens, and they're fun.
That's not a token. The effect is you play Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. Then you get whatever its effect is. I don't know what it is because I don't play bad cards.
It can deal 3,000 damage. It can attack directly, but not on the turns played, so it's stunned.
Oh, well, that card fucking sucks.
Yeah, that's why I play it. That's why I give it to them.
So here, you're just kind of reading me the effects of this counterattack, I think it is.
Yeah. Well, pro tip for people, just as a reminder, that card does not negate the attack, but it does have the power to remove a battle card ignoring barrier. So if something doesn't have indestructible, you'd be able to get rid of it and stop an attack. But for just reminders, when you're playing against, the attack would still be going through. You see that happen from time to time. A lot of people get ahead of themselves. They're like, oh, this is a counter, so the attack must be negated. But not all the time. So it's always good to recheck. Read your cards.
Yeah, they're like... There's a surprising number of relevant cards that have counter green text that just don't negate the attack. That'd be like something interesting to go over and see how. Like, I think of Dormant Potential being such a impactful card for green, and that doesn't negate the attack, which was one of the reasons that people said the card was bad when it first came out. So, hey, there's another one that doesn't negate the attack.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably use that one for when I played the 8-drop Garl Jr. I think I only play it as a 1 of the deck. It might be a 2 of, but it's primarily because the 8-drop Garl Jr. will give a constant neg 10 to your opponent's battle cards and unisons. So just having a negate that will just do an additional neg to hopefully maybe finish off a card always felt good. But in this case, I wanted to get rid of your, I think it was a 10k crit, I think it was.
It's a 5k since there's nothing underneath it, but it's essentially just an extra energy for me. That's one of the tricks of dealing with 21 is hitting the Z battle cards as soon as you can and as often as you can, just because it's essentially when both of them are on board. Like in this instance, I was playing with 6 energy, so it's very important to get those off the board when you can.
I want to point out, I comboed specifically, especially just so I could play this Gohan on anything else you wanted to play. I didn't need a combo because you just said, okay, cool. I'm like, all right, I'll combo 1 card. You went, okay.
Yeah, we did. And here, he has Red Eyes Black Dragon.
Yeah.
What is his, is he level 8?
No, I think he's 7.
Yes.
Is he
level? He is.
Oh.
Hey, you can make Titanic Galaxy. I don't know what Toon Dragon is. Toon Dragon's an 8 too. It's just a Blue Eyes, correct?
Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, you can make Titanic Galaxy and then just negate Dimension Magic when he uses it.
So I got a little bit greedy there. I playing when you play the chant, it says you played the card.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it plays the card in active mode. No, I can't remember now. Regardless, I was trying to just swing and then turn on and play the 5-drop afterwards, and then give it indestructible after that fact. But you just negated it and then popped it, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, there goes that chain. So, to answer your question from earlier, Jake, not once I go into the 5-drop in my battles.
Which we were cool with.
And you being able to tap down my like 20k double strike right off the bat was really strong as well.
Yeah. Now this 8-drop 21 is just a big pressure piece, and in the wrong matchup, it's easy to get this card hit, because in order to get the restand 5, it has to stay on the board at the end of the turn and not have its skills negated. So typically when you play against decks like yellow, you almost never swing with it. You just kind of leave it there, or it's the last action you take in your turn just because you want to get that restand 5. But in a game against red, granted, red does have a lot of negging potential, but in this case, I felt more safe to do it because I don't feel like Garlic has enough negging during the battle step besides the counterplay go on. So I felt like it was safe enough to go ahead and swing with and go in on.
No, it definitely was. Most also the negs that happen in this deck are off of the Z chain, and then giving things indestructible, which are not during your opponent's turn. It's always during your turn.
Outside of a lot of red archetype pieces, if you're just thinking about red staples, the amount of resources that they would have to put into killing that 21 on their turn would kind of almost outweigh the energy untapped depending on what you have in hand. So, like, while that card is super risky in a lot of matchups, like, you could also game it in the idea of like, oh, I'm just going to get like an insane amount of cards out of my opponent's hand to just deal with this one card. Otherwise, I get to untap 5.
And at the worst, it's a free 10k combo, right? Like,
yeah,
right.
At worst. Like, card is very solid, no matter how it's dealt with or the lack thereof.
And in this case as well, the one thing as an Android 21 player you should know is the cards auto, where if your opponent activates the counter they pitch to, it's not turn dependent. So if your opponent wants to counterplay a card coming into play that's a battle or whatever, or counter against blue, like or yellow, like if that card's on the board, it's still going to get that effect off. So it could be devastating if you catch your opponent off guard with it.
And here, swing the Gohan just to get rid of a token off the board, so you can't use it as energy. You did full energy, and you took full advantage of it by super comboing, and then turn around playing the 7-drop, adding the 4-drop to your hand. And I think the entire time I'm like, all right, cool, play your 5-drop. Do I take the life? I'm just waiting for you to play the stupid ass 5-drop.
Yeah, in this case, you're looking back on it now, I did play this too early because you want to win with this, and I just thought it was enough disruption to where it would be enough for me to at least get 1 life off of you. Like, I felt like I had enough on board to do that, but looking retroactive and looking on it now, I feel like you want to do that play when they're at 1 life. You don't want to do it too.
Did I miss your energy pop?
I address it here.
He will address it in a bit, yeah.
Because after it's over, because it's just I'd pitch a tapped energy. I'm like, oh shit, I need to tap this. I need to get rid of this. So we do get rid of 1.
8-drop Garlic, activate main for 2 energy. You play it. You choose all of your opponent's battle card. They get -15, and then the giving indestructible triggers the permanent where all your opponent's battle cards and use into -10. So I was able to fully clean off 21's board. And you haven't done it yet, I don't think, but you will do it in a second.
I think here is where I realize it. Because I'm looking down on my energy, I'm like, oh shit.
And I'm just
Don't fail me.
I'm reading the permanent out loud and active main out because I want to play another card. I just want to make sure the card I'm playing isn't getting hit by any of the neg effects, which it doesn't. So I'm willing to pay 2 and go into the Vegeta.
This Vegeta is so good.
Yes. We swear, you catch it during my turn. I know you do.
I do. I remember catching it. I do. I swear I catch it. Don't get mad at me, Jimmy. I swear.
It's after he goes ahead and untaps all of his energy and taps 5 and unfreestands again and
there it is.
There it is. There it is. See, there it is. We caught it.
He just felt like it.
So I think what it was that
I needed one more card in my draw.
I was reading the auto. I was reading how that card was worded, because Garlic Jr.'s activate battle is you pay 1 energy and then you remove the 7 Dragon Balls and you do not take damage during your opponent's turn. And I wanted to read to see if that card was place 1 life or deal 1 damage. And it is place 1, so it gets past that. But I think you caught on to what I was trying to figure out. And then that's when you caught up, like, oh yeah, I need to get rid of energy real quick.
Harking back to reading your cards.
Yeah.
Yo, give me that Wavering Will that's in your energy.
Why?
I need 1 more.
No.
Why not?
Because I like to confuse my opponents.
Man, fuck you.
You do end up swinging, and I end up just immediately proccing. You don't combo. I was hoping you would kind of like do something in combo and forget about this ability, but you just don't combo. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll just proc it now, because I don't think I had anything in my hand to truly combo with at the time.
Hell no, yeah, I knew what that card did. So I want to just get it out of the way, and then see if I can play my turn and see what I can do here. But there wasn't really much I could have done. I mean, granted, looking back on it now, because in my hand right now, you'll see it in a second. I have the Android 17 Defending Friends, and I have the Android 21 Full Power Counter Floodgate. So here in my little old mind, I'm thinking, oh, if I put this man under 2 floodgates, there's no way he could possibly kill me. I'll be protecting him. He'll just pass the turn.
And put in hindsight, I had like 3 cards in my hand. Did not have a lot of cards in my hand, but I still have the leader's ability to fetch cards and hopefully add cards to my hand. So. And there's the second one. Which
so honestly, the only other thing I could have done in this scenario would be to go into the Vegito from the Z deck, which that would have been a fine play, but I don't think that still would have done enough to save me.
Because you would have to tap out for it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have been able to play Defending Friends to keep the floodgate alive. So I felt like this was the appropriate choice, just to put him under 2, just to make him pitch a card on a battle card, or bottom deck a card on a battle card swing, pitch a card and a Z energy deck. So potentially removing 2 from his hand for every battle card swing he wants to do.
And that's why when I immediately play this Vegeta, I immediately activate the activate main, give an additional 10k. Because at this point, you have nothing to use in the gate with. And I'm just hoping that whatever I had left, which is literally the card that it combos with, and then the card on the field. And it was in this situation.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was my last swing. Like, if I could not end the game there, Nick had it entirely from that point on.
Funny how it works out like that.
Yeah. Well, that being said, thank you for the opportunity. Keep in mind his buttons, links in the description. Check them out. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.